Hello everybody, welcome. My name is Richard Simons and this is the electric Ford Transit van. Ford Transit, been a bit of a staple diet in the commercial fleet industry, isn't it? But this is the electric van. We are switching to electric vans, and so I'm going to give you a really good review of the electric Ford Transit. Now stick with me because I'm going to talk to you about the running costs and also some great tax savings you can make, especially given yesterday's budget announcement. In the coming tax year, we're going to show this van to a load of friends of mine who drive vans daily, get their opinions on it, so it's not just my verdict, and talk to you about what the real world range will be, because I'm going to be driving this today and tomorrow non-stop as much as I can, covering plenty of miles in town, motorways, country roads, so I get a real good gauge of what the real world range is going to be, both unloaded and loaded up as well. So stick with us. This should be a really good comprehensive review of the Ford e-Transit. Shout out to English Ford in Poole for the loan of this Transit for 2 days so we can do all the testing we want to do. They got some of these in stock as well, by the way, so do hook up English Ford in Poole if you're looking to get one of these. Maybe this video will convince you, maybe it won't. We're yet to do our testing and find out, but I've driven it a little bit so far and it seems very, very good. Also, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. A lot of our viewers are not subscribed to our channel. We do lots of testing with electric vehicles, the good, the bad and the ugly, the real world range, and some hints and tips on charging, and lots of advice about running costs. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell icon for notifications of new videos. Right, let's put it to some work. And with my friend Richard from the Way Out Back Brewery, and we're going to help him deliver some beer. So let's get some load in here. We've got a forklift truck. Let's go. Let's get it to work, see if it fits. In she goes, should fly in. Good, yeah. Yeah, you can come forward a bit. Come forward a bit more. Bit more. And you drop it down, shuffle it forward a bit. Yeah, she's in. There we go. Now she's sitting down a bit. That's more like...
Oh, I got the fork to it. You're going to be bouncing going down the road, mate.
You're driving it.
Oh, am I? Oh, amazing. Right.
So we've got about 700 kilos on the back axle there, right at the back as well. See how it drives now. And what the efficiency's like. Now it feels like we're doing a proper test because we're sort of free up, can of drink.
We're out of here. Oh, hello.
So you're used to vans. I'd be interested to see what you think of it. Shout out Jimmy's Ice Coffee, based just down the road. Scored you down.
Oh, I'm getting rated.
You're getting rated.
Oh, see, I'm going to thrash it in a minute. That's going right down. So my challenge is to get my rating to 0. Is that what it is, right?
This is what I said to somebody earlier. I said, you're going to try and get this up, but actually I bet some van drivers are just going to do their best to get this as low as possible.
I'm going to go straight on.
Are you?
Well,
okay.
that bit at the end's rubbish, isn't it? Oh no, we'll go that way.
It's a bumpy road. Let's try the bumpy road.
Let's do the bumpy road. It's actually pretty smooth, if I'm honest.
I think it is.
Like our caddies are like...
Yeah, a Tesla Model 3 is pretty firm. This is smooth as hell.
This is good.
This is like a Mercedes S-Class down this road.
I've got the window open, but it's actually quite quiet, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's a big window? Takes about 5 minutes to go up.
Oh, that helps you regen. Yeah, so this one gives you a bit more like one pedal driving, so when you lift off it uses the motors to slow the car more.
Up to 83 onward. I'm going slow, look. My deceleration's going back.
Yeah, it's going to get better. It's going to score you. Your 90 acceleration's all good, so that's going to change, I bet. What do you meant for 2 people in here? It's a little bit squish, isn't it?
You mean 60?
Oh, could you? Well, why didn't you do that first thing? Because you're like leaning.
Here, but I can go here.
Well, that'd be more convenient. We're doing 70 down the motorway, fully loaded, 3 of us in it. It's really quiet.
That's correct.
It's really good, isn't it?
What I'm quite surprised about is we're not doing that.
Yeah, because the weight's right at the back and it's not pitching.
We are going over some bumps at 70.
Yeah.
You know your pickup when you put, yeah?
You feel the front bounce a bit more because it's got the weight on the back.
Especially when you put a trailer on the back of that.
It's not doing it, is it?
No.
It's very quiet though. I feel like you could sit here all day. It's quieter than a lot of cars, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It actually is.
The Ford Ranger's pretty quiet as well.
But I think this is quieter than Ranger.
Maybe. It's like literally really quiet.
Yeah. It's pretty.
Which doesn't matter, Richard, because Richard's so loud. That's why I didn't bother giving you a microphone, Richard, because you just don't need it.
You two got microphones?
I've got one here.
That's why they call me Radio Richard.
we can hear you from about half mile. When it wasn't loaded, the brakes felt quite sharp, but you probably need good brakes when you've got good load on.
Pretty good. I didn't even brake then. That just kind of stopped itself.
Yeah, that's the motor's recovering. Yeah. So rather than using brake pads, that's recovering energy back in the battery. Yeah, it goes back in. So when that needle goes in the green, that's actually recovering it back. What I'm going to do now, I want to test the range when it's unloaded and then when it's fully loaded. So I'm going to drive a fixed route now, which is going to be a really even mixture between some country roads, some motorway and then some town driving. I'm going to make a triangle. So a bit of each type of driving. Firstly, with the vehicle unloaded, I'm going to measure the amount of battery I use and the efficiency I get, and then I'm going to repeat it, but with a full load in the back. So let's see what we get on the first run unloaded. Right, there we are, back at the start. So actually a 50-minute round trip there, and a mixed bag of conditions. So I did see on the country roads quite efficient, so 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. Around town, kind of 2.7 was pretty easy. But then at motorway speeds, obviously that drag, it's a big vehicle, reduces efficiency. So that seems to be in the low twos. However, the round trip there, 25.7 miles, I averaged 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour, 68 kilowatt hours usable. That would be about 163 mile range without anything in the back. And look, I wasn't trying, climate control on, radio on, it's 10 degrees outside, it's dry, it's not raining at the moment. So let's see how that compares when we've got a full load up. So now I'm going to repeat the same route I did yesterday unloaded, this time with the sand, which is 800 kilogram bag. So that brings this van to its maximum payload. There are versions of this van which can take up to, I think, 1.7 tons. This one's the 800 kilo load version, so, or a little bit more than that actually. So I'm still within capacity, and it's now cold and wet and loaded. So this is now going to be kind of worst case efficiency. So let's see what we get. And how does it drive now that there's a big load in the back? Well, not much different really. It's even smoother ride now. Not quite as quick as it is when it's empty, but because it's electric motor, it's torquey, it's smooth, it's effortless. It doesn't feel like it's really loaded. It's certainly not struggling in any way. It's fine. It's all good. Let's see what efficiency we get though. This is pretty much now kind of the worst case. Load up in the rain, cold today as well, a bit colder than it was yesterday. So, which is when I filmed the unloaded journey, but I'm doing the same journey again, very much real world driving, just driving normally, radio on, heating on, that kind of thing, but driving in much the same way, same speed on the same road. So we should get a pretty good comparison, best case versus worst case. So, with the load on, my average was 2.2 miles per kilowatt hour compared to 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour on the same journey, driven in much the same manner yesterday. So it didn't really make too much difference. And the van didn't really drive much differently either. So it handles the load absolutely fine. So what have we got here? There's lots of versions of the e-Transit, so you may need to go on the Ford configurator and have a look for yourself. Loads of different variables of it. This is the H2 L3 350, and they've all got a 68 kilowatt hour battery pack, but then they come in these different heights, lengths. You can even get a chassis cab version of one as well. So with this version, we can carry a gross 3.5 tons. So we can actually carry about 800 kilogram payload, but there are versions which can go to over 4 tons, 4.25 tons. And because of the battery and it's fully electric, there's a special dispensation. So actually with a 3.5 ton license, you can still drive one of these at 4.25 tons, which means on some of them, you can carry a payload of 1,700 kilograms. And it's rear wheel drive. So there's a motor at the back here driving the rear wheels. It's got different suspension to the regular vans. It's actually got independent car suspension at the back here. As I say, there's lots of different versions. So in terms of internal dimensions, they're all listed on the Ford website. But let me give you an idea. I'm 6 foot tall and I can just about stand up in this one. And this is how wide it is. And it's this long. I've seen videos before where they don't have reversing cameras, but this is the leader, which is the more basic spec compared to a Trend. And this one certainly has a reversing camera and parking sensors. I don't think you can have a tow bar with the electric e-Transit though, unfortunately. Big side loading door, of course. Charge ports at the front here, and you've got your AC charging, so you might just plug in overnight, whether you're parked at home or in a depot. And on AC, it can charge up to 11 kilowatts. Then you've got the fast charging CCS port there as well. So if you do need to charge while you're out and about, it can charge at over 100 kilowatts. I think it's 115 kilowatt charging speed, which should mean you get a recharge to top you up for quite a bit more driving within about half an hour, 40 minutes. Front parking sensors. And is this a radar for safety system, adaptive cruise? could be. Let's have a look in the cab. So we've got 3 seats. Just shot my foot in the door. There we go. All right, ready? Let's have a look in the cab. So 3 seats, certainly in this one at least, and you've got storage under the front seats here as well. You might put your charging cable or something like that. We've also got a fold down section here, so maybe a laptop on there, doing some remote work, drinks holder, a nice armrest for the driver here, which is adjustable. You can also put it right out the way, and then loads of storage. You've got cup holders, document sleeves, big glove box, slot there, slot there, slot there, slot there, sunglasses there, cup holder here, cup holder here, cup holder here, storage in the doors, storage at the top here for loads of stuff as well. So it should be accumulate loads of paperwork and rubbish in this cab. Driving position's really nice, good visibility at the front. The line here in the doors got big windows so I can see out, and I've got the mirrors with the blind spot as well, electric adjustment on those, a steering wheel adjustment, seat height adjustment, manual. You've got then adjustment for the seat base, so the tilt. And then I can also recline this back quite a bit as well. It's just nice and easy to drive with good visibility. Then we've got this big screen that dominates the cab. So let me show you a bit about that. So this big screen, all our climate controls on here as well. So we've got our ventilation options there. We've also got an actual heated front screen with proper elements in the screen here. Heated wing mirrors, of course air condition, and fully automatic climate control, which you all adjust on this screen here. All the radio controls on the screen here as well. And we've also got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And this seems to work absolutely fine, as you'd expect it to. Oh look, our Simon's limited. This is your gear selector, so in park, then we go to reverse, neutral, drive. A couple of controls on the steering wheel, so your radio, volume and skip stations, and then you've got another adjustment on this side for the menu on the screen inside here. So we've got some traditional dials, so we've got a speedo, we've got our charge level, we've also then got the amount of power being used of regen braking, and then we've got the trip on the screen in the middle there. So we've got lots of different options that you can also control from the little screen in the center console. And there's no handbrake here, it's electronic down here. In fact, I think it's automatic. Little hooks for hanging your coat or high-vis jacket perhaps. You've got 3 different driving modes, normal, eco, and there's also a special mode for slippery conditions. This is rear-wheel drive after all, so if it's a bit wet or snowing, frosty, you might choose this. And you can set on here as well some preheating and conditioning, so when you get to your van in the morning, maybe at 9:55 on a Wednesday, it will already be warmed up, defrosted, ready to go. There's also a 12 volt and a USB in front of the driver. 12 volt and USB in the dashboard. Heated seats. So this is Scott. Scott's had that Renault Master for 19 years
19
now.
years, yes.
And what's the mileage on that?
45,000.
So you're not a high mileage driver,
No,
but that's a
absolutely
similar size van, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is just next generation, isn't it?
Do you like it?
Yeah, absolutely epic.
You like
I mean,
it?
how can you make a commercial vehicle that good?
It's just smooth and easy.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're in town a lot more as well, just not having gear
I-
changes and stuff.
I thought I'd just drive to site. Just
Yeah.
drove to a local site and just drive it as if it's just what I was doing, going down the site, drop some stuff off.
Yeah.
And so all the little back roads,
Yeah.
it's just so much better than anything I've ever driven in terms of commercial.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's-
Like,
yeah.
why wouldn't you, sort of thing,
Yeah, why wouldn't you? And I mean, I think you were saying that the cost of these compared to a diesel are relatively...
Yeah, so these still qualify for £5,000 government subsidies. So they're about, roughly speaking, about £4,000 more
Yeah.
than the diesel version. But if it's price parity or very close, then you're going to save on running costs as well.
Of course, I mean, you wouldn't even think about it, you'd get one of these. I mean, to be honest, that costs, well, especially when the fuel was a little bit more expensive than it is
Yeah.
currently, it's about £150 a fill up.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't get 20 to the gallon out of it really.
Yeah.
Not really, not in the real world with us carrying glass.
Yeah, okay.
So for this, the extra 4,000 over the cost of its life,
Yeah.
it's nothing.
No, that's it.
I mean, if I was to buy one of these, I'd keep it 20 years.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we don't do the mileage, we don't do the distance.
Yeah,
Now,
this is it.
I know for some people the technology's moving on so fast,
Yeah.
and they'd say release it 2-3 years, get the next generation,
Yeah.
generation. But for me,
We wouldn't really need
every
it.
day of the
Yeah,
week,
exactly.
Just stick with that. The stability of it as a van
Yeah.
is again totally different.
And the ride comfort as well,
Yeah.
I thought, yeah.
The ride is there. I mean, I would normally just take my truck,
Yeah.
my Ranger every day of the week.
Yeah.
Over the van if I have a choice. Now, if I had this, I'd be quite happy to say I'll just take
Yeah.
the electric.
You just go home and backwards
Yeah.
and forwards and that.
It feels much more modern, much more complete.
It does, yeah.
I mean, we've got a
Mercedes Vito we also use.
Yes.
You don't see it very often. But
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, that's only a couple of years old, and that's the modern twin turbo diesel,
Yeah.
etc. This different level.
Yeah, so even a Vito twin turbo.
Yeah, so it's a modern vehicle. Auto, it's got all the nice bits with it.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Yeah, I just love it.
And with Sean. Sean, what's your company? Give a big up.
For Electrical Southern.
So Sean's an electrician, done some work with us. You install chargers as well, so
Yeah,
you're quite
all
familiar
sorts.
with electric vehicles. What do you normally drive?
I've got a Vauxhall Vivaro
And how long have you had that?
diesel. Oh, about 8 years I think it is now.
Been good to you?
It has been actually, very good.
And how many miles have you done in that 8 years?
Oh, about 25,000, so really, really low mileage.
So again, your work's always local, isn't it? You
Yeah.
don't do long trips in your van, do you?
Very, very rarely.
So what do you think of it to drive? It's your first time driving an electric van?
It is. I've driven an electric car, but it's my first time in a van. I think it's amazing. Really, really nice to drive. Nice and smooth. Lots of uptake on the acceleration.
Yep.
And to be honest, I really noticed the difference between my diesel
Yeah.
and this. It's a hell of a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's just easy to drive, isn't it? Imagine it's in town with traffic and auto and stuff like that.
Absolutely ideal.
And then you like the cab because you're saying there's just tons of space up
Yeah.
here and stuff like that. Keep your folders in
Absolutely.
and laptop.
As an electrician, we have loads of folders, reference materials.
Yeah.
So, yeah, never enough room in my cab. No, brilliant. Really impressed.
That's
Really
right,
like
isn't it? So next time you're going to replace your van, would you consider electric?
I would do, and it's something I have been considering for a little while, but it's been waiting for the technology and just the availability of the van stock.
That's where they're starting to come through now. So even vans like this now are kind of in stock. You can get them straight away, but we're seeing more and more vans coming through. So I think it's good. So there we go. Thumbs up.
Awesome, thank you.
No worries. Thanks, Sean. You seem quite home, Amy. But not a problem.
Maybe my next car's going to be a van.
Could be an electric van, couldn't it? It's pretty handy.
No electric car, electric van.
Yeah, why not?
Because you haven't got all, like, with a man, you're always changing gear and going through all that. With this, you just literally
smooth and calming.
Smooth, you're just sitting there. The van helps you as well with the braking. So
we always say the fastest vehicles on the roads are white vans, but maybe if you want to just chill out in one of these, what do you reckon? It is a quick van though, so maybe it's going to go faster.
yeah.
There's a more powerful version available.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, so this isn't quick enough. There's actually a more powerful one.
So if you want to go a bit quicker, you can.
This is plenty, isn't it? Well, you're all quite at home in there. It's all good.
That was quite a good corner as well. I didn't touch the brake.
Didn't touch the
I let the
brakes.
van do it, and then I just sort of went round the corner nice and smoothly.
Didn't wear any brake discs. It recovered
No.
the energy back into the
Yeah.
battery when you did that. So that's good. There we are. That's it. What do you reckon?
I like it.
Cab.
Do you feel manly driving the van, Joe?
Yeah, feel manly.
It's probably get your trucker cap on.
Shouldn't I? Yeah. That'd be all right. Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool.
And I have now covered 133.5 miles, over 6 hours of driving time, and I've got 8 miles of range left. And it's still driving fine, by the way, even with the battery getting lower. So you can see there, I could easily get to 140 odd miles in pretty much worst case. I mean, it's been empty some of the time, but we've really been using the van. So real world range really is from about 130, 140 miles. And I'm sure you could quite easily eke more out of it. Probably up to about 160, 170, especially if it's slightly warmer weather outside. You'd have to be trying a little bit to get to 200. You can make it happen, but motorways do affect the efficiency because it's such a big van and the aerodynamics will hold it back. But you can do lots of town driving. I mean, I've been driving it for a day and a half now. And that's it done. So let's plug it in and I'll show you how easy that is. So plugging it in is easy. You park next to a charging post, so you might fit one of these at your home or place of work, at your depot, maybe charge it overnight. You pull the bung out and you plug it in, and that's it. So this will charge, we've got 3-phase electric here, so you can charge at 11 kilowatts. Home, a single phase, it would charge at 7 kilowatts, but easily both of these would charge overnight, not a problem at all. What would that cost? Well, if you've got solar and battery storage like we have here, nothing, apart from the initial solar cost, of course. If you're charging up at the workplace, electricity prices do vary, so just look at your cost of unit of electricity. It can be more than domestic. If you're charging at home and you're paying the highest domestic rate currently of 34 pence per kilowatt hour, it is going to cost you about £16. But you might have a cheap overnight tariff, so you can schedule the van to only charge for certain hours overnight, and that might be down to say something like 7 pence per kilowatt hour, in which case it costs you less than £5. So pretty cheap running for about 140 miles of range. Compare that to what you might put in your van for diesel. Plus you've got less maintenance with an electric vehicle. You don't have clutches and turbos and DPF filters and that kind of stuff. So maintenance and running costs should be significantly cheaper with an electric van like this. But there's also some other benefits, so let me explain that. So what does one of these actually cost? Well, a lot of people would lease them, about £600 a month lease. Look, there's loads of different variables of this van, but this one we've got here is roughly speaking £50,000, so it's not a cheap vehicle. But the diesel ones aren't cheap either. It's about £4,000 roughly speaking compared to the equivalent diesel version. But then you've got much cheaper running costs and less maintenance with the vehicle. So there's some savings to be had there for sure, and if you're looking at lease deals, they're probably going to be quite comparable. But let me talk to you about corporation tax, because we just had a budget a couple of days ago, and corporation tax, the tax you pay on profits from a business, has just gone up to 25%. However, if you buy plant and machinery and vans, then you can actually offset the costs of your van from your corporation tax liability. So let me give you an example and try and explain it. Let's say a company makes £200,000 in profit. You pay corporation tax 25% on that £200,000. However, if you buy a £50,000 van, then you can offset that and you won't pay corporation tax on £50,000 off of those profits. So that could help, couldn't it? It's 25%. So that might help with the decision to splash out a new van perhaps. So I've been plugged in on our AC charge at work for 1 hour exactly, and that has taken the range up to 28 miles now. So quite simply, on AC 11 kilowatt, you're going to add about 20 miles of range per hour. Of course, normally you just be plugged in overnight, start every day with a full charge, but that's what you get. So we're coming to the end of my 2 days with the e-Transit here, and I've loved it. It's been brilliant fun. It's just a great van. God, I mean, it's fast, smooth. I think for its size, it's actually reasonably efficient. It certainly handles weight really well. It's just really nice to drive. There's some great savings to be had. And actually, you realise, have a look around. There's just so many vans on the road. And if we can gradually transition to be electric for most of them, I know there's some high mileage van drivers who do lots of long distances. It may be more challenging for them, but actually most vans just do local journeys. They're builders, plumbers, carpenters, variety of uses, of course, and actually don't do that many miles. So it will suit a lot of people if it's affordable, and a lot of people will lease them. So if you're thinking of it, I can highly recommend trying it. At least give it a try. See if the numbers really stack up for you, and if it does, it'd be great to transition to more electric vans, because a van like this is just bloody brilliant. So I hope that's been interesting and useful. I certainly found it very interesting. Thank you for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications, and we'll see you in another video very soon.